Good afternoon, I'm Olive Burrows and you're watching NTV at One. Also standing by is Silas Polo in the NTV newsroom and Vincent Odwor in Parliament buildings, where he was covering a press conference by the Parliamentary Service Commission on their push for allowances. And we start with Vincent Odwor. The controversy over the members of Parliament's push for more allowances is still continuing, with the Parliamentary Service Commission addressing a press conference earlier today. Kenyans have reacted with anger to the calls, but it appears the legislators are not backing down. Vincent, you were at the press conference. What did the PSC have to say?
Absolutely, members of the Parliamentary Service Commission have just come out from a meeting they've had this morning, furious and very angry with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, and they are accusing SRC of politicizing its mandate and trying to blackmail members of Parliament in public court. And they've denied a number of issues. First of all, members of PSC are arguing that reports that members of Parliament earn more than 1 million shillings as salary every month are a lie. They are arguing that members of Parliament only earn 532,500 shillings. And also they are saying reports that they have over 17 allowances. It is a lie. They are arguing that they only have one allowance, which is a sitting allowance. There are a number of things they've denied, things to do with the house allowance. They are saying ever since a conservatory order was issued stopping the house allowance of 250,000 shillings per month, they've never been, the issuance of that allowance stopped, and since then they've not been earning that amount that had been allocated for them. And one of the things they are arguing and accusing SRC of, they're saying SRC, when it comes to handling other state officers, it is very fair to other state officers except the members of Parliament, because they're saying the court ruling that said that things like to do house allowance is an entitlement for all state officers, including members of Parliament. SRC never went to appeal the ruling, and instead they went to another court where they received a conservatory order stopping the issuance of that house allowance. And they're also arguing that when SRC sought a legal opinion from the AG told them to engage the PSC to find a way in which they will be paying members of Parliament that house allowance, which SRC never did. And therefore, Parliamentary Service Commission is arguing that SRC is doing all it can to blackmail members of Parliament, and it is trying to treat members of Parliament differently from other state officers, yet them as members of Parliament, they are also state officers. And therefore, this is something that is going to go on from today, and it's a battle that is going to continue between Parliamentary Service Commission and the SRC, because they're saying SRC is engaging all other commissions except the Parliamentary Service Commission. And therefore, this is something that we are going to follow up and see how it's going to turn out as we move forward. Back to studio.
Vincent Odwor speaking to us from Parliament buildings, where the Parliamentary Service Commission held a press briefing, and they sought to bust the myths they say are being propagated in the media, claiming that they earn less than 1 million shillings, that the only allowance that they earn is a sitting allowance, and they accuse the SRC of victimizing them. Now, Leila Mohammed is at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, and she was covering the former head of the civil service, and that is Ambassador Francis Mudhaura, who was making presentations before the team. He has proposed a coalition government style of governance, and in a bid to ensure inclusivity and end the winner-takes-all approach. Mudhaura, who presented the memorandum to the Building Bridges initiative, says that Kenyans have concentrated on politicking rather than developing the nation's development agenda. He also praised the Grand Coalition government of retired President Mwai Kibaki and the former Premier Raila Odinga as one which worked properly for the nation. Leila, did I get it correctly when I heard him say the coalition government would be formed between the winner and the runners-up?
Well, since early morning, 3 presentations have been presented before the BBI Commission. That is chaired by Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji. Before them this morning was former Civil Service Head Ambassador Francis Mudaura. There was the County Assemblies Forum, and the last group to do their presentation was the National Police Service. Each of these individual entities giving their recommendations to the committee in terms of how this country can move forward. Well, just to give you a sneak peek of what happened during the morning session, Ambassador Mudaura says that a grand coalition government is the best way to go so that a winner takes all does not occur again. He says this should be permanent into the constitution and says the office of the Prime Minister should come back. The office of the Deputy President should still be viable. However, according to him, it should be purely administrative, and in terms of succession, in case something happens to the head of state, the Prime Minister will be in charge of cabinet meetings and will be a key figure within the coalition government. He will be able to give the leader of opposition in terms of minority inside parliament. The president's side will give the minority leader on his side, and this, according to Mudaura, will be good in terms of inclusivity so that all the 42 tribes in the country can feel represented. According to the County Assemblies Forum, they say a similar style should be replicated in the counties. They have talked about the issue of funding of county assemblies, and between them and the Senate, who has more power of representing the county level. The National Police Service has spoken about the representation in terms of recruiting of its service members from across the country, the issue of also corruption, which has been a dent in their name. They say this should be a matter that should be tackled to ensure that violence among police officers is also curbed. The issue of post-election violence where police officers are involved, they say, has been reduced to a certain level. So those are some of just the snippets of what has happened in the meeting this morning. Many more and much more we'll be able to discuss in our later bulletins.
Thank you, Leila, for that update. Leila has been covering the submissions being made before the Building Bridges Initiative, and she made particular reference to the presentation that was made by the former head of the civil service, and that is Ambassador Francis Mudaura. 6 people were killed in a grisly road accident involving a 14-seater matatu near Mumandu shopping center along the Machakos Water Road. 13 others were critically injured and were rushed to the Machakos Level 5 hospital.
A mangle that tells another fatal tale of road carnage. According to eyewitnesses, the matatu rolled several times after the driver lost control owing to a tire burst.
Watu walalamika wakasema dereva anaendesha gari vibaya na anaenda kwa mwendo wa kasi. Jamaa akapunguza, lakini all of a sudden akaanza kukimbia tena. Cause before accident itendeke, kuna gari ya Amon ilikuwa inateremka hivyo, gari kubwa. Walijaribu kumsimamisha, wakamuonyesha aende pole pole.
5 passengers died on the spot, while another succumbed upon arrival at the Machakos County Referral Hospital. Machakos County Director of Emergency Services, David Mongela, who confirmed the incident, said the ill-fated matatu, registered under Matko Sacco, was speeding and had excess passengers on board when the accident occurred at around 7:30 p.m. Wednesday night. 13 other passengers were admitted at the Machakos Level 5 hospital after sustaining injuries. Bodies of the deceased were taken to Machakos Hospital mortuary, while the wreckage of the vehicle was towed to Machakos Police Station. Seth Olale, NTV.
Kitui Water and Sanitation Company Managing Director Geoffrey Kieta has been arrested by the National Environment Management Authority officers for abetting the discharge of toxic hospital effluent into Kalundu River. According to Lower Eastern NEMA Director John Wafula, the water company boss entered into a fraudulent agreement with Jordan Hospital in Kitui Town, allowing the facility to channel its waste into a defective sewerage system. The NEMA official lamented that the improper disposal of hazardous waste from the hospital, which also operates a morgue, had led to medical waste finding its way into the river. Wafula claims the hospital has been operating a substandard and licensed incinerator.
That the hospital is discharging raw waste into River Kalundu. We have also instructed the hospital to decommission the incinerator because it does not meet standards and is not licensed by law.
Staying with matters environment, the National Environment Management Authority has shut down several businesses in Engineer and Olkalau town in Nyandarua County for using the banned plastic bags. The crackdown comes as NEMA officials are on a rapid result initiative exercise to ensure that proper maintenance of the environment, which has seen the county government of Nyandarua put on the spot.
Part of our DNA, our culture. I don't know.
Sorry, that was the Environment CS Keriako Tobiko, and we will be bringing you his report shortly, followed by the report on the plastic bags impounded in Nyandarua County. Now, as I mentioned, we have Silas Apollo in our newsroom. Earlier, he had been covering the Africa Anti-Corruption Day, which was held at the Hilton Hotel, and during which we heard from the chairman of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Eliud Wabukala, as well as from the CEO, Twalib Mbarak, who says assets worth 2.7 billion shillings, which were purchased from proceeds of corruption, have been reclaimed by their agency in the last 4 months. He also says that the commission has stopped the loss of some 5.8 billion shillings through arrests and prosecution of suspects accused of theft. And Mbarak, as I mentioned, spoke during that particular gathering. Silas Apollo, what else did he have to say?
Yes, Olive. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, of course, says that it has made a lot of strides in the fight against corruption. Remember, EACC has been coming under spotlight and scrutiny from a number of critics who've accused the commission of failing to do as much as it can in the fight against corruption. Of course, this comes after the formation of the multi-agency team, of course, which comprises the DPP, the Office of the DCI, and the Attorney General, and quite a number of stakeholders have come through. But EACC has been accused of failing to do as much as the multi-agency team has done in terms of fighting corruption and also coming up with cases that lead to convictions. A number of cases that it has prosecuted in court, most of them have collapsed. You remember the NYS One saga, of course, which raised a lot of concerns and cast a lot of spotlight on EACC. So today they were saying that they've done quite a number of things. One of the things is that they've recovered a lot of assets, around 2.7 billion shillings in the past 8 months, which they say is quite a stride compared to around 1 billion shillings that they recovered in over 1 year ago. So it's quite a number of things they've done so far. The commission chairman, the commission CEO, of course, raising a lot of concerns in terms of the challenges they've faced in terms of also recovering assets. Of course, the recovery of assets is not a new thing. It's something that has been existing in law, but has not picked up as much as it has. Of course, after President Uhuru Kenyatta joined hands with ODM leader Raila Odinga after the handshake, which led to a more spirited campaign against corruption. That is when the assets and recovery team became more vibrant and more committed towards recovering assets. And the reason why EACC says that they've been doing the assets and recovery more is because they say that prosecution in courts take a lot of time to prosecute cases in court. Not just that, also there are a lot of issues in terms of bringing evidence together. And so the assets, recovery of assets is a more easier way and a more convenient way of ensuring that those who steal from the public coffers are not able to enjoy the things that they steal. But there's also a number of challenges even in terms of the assets and recovery. One of them, they say that the law as it is, some of the laws involving the recovery of assets has not been as conclusive and comprehensive enough. And so they want those strengthened. Of course, the chairman also talked about a collaboration with their stakeholders from other states in Africa in order to be able to recover assets that have been stashed in other countries around Africa. You remember EACC signed a pact some time back with the government of Switzerland where it has been said that a lot of government employees and government staff and former government officials have been stashing their stolen wealth. That led to the recovery of some millions of shillings. So they're saying right now they're also looking forward to partnering with other African states to recover the assets. But in terms of the challenges that they're facing, they say they're quite enormous challenges. And of course, the CEO of the ESS, that is Twala Mubarak, talked about some of the challenges. And this is just what he had to say about what they're thinking of the way going forward.
Current framework of wealth declaration, that is the declaration of income, asset, and liability, right now is very opaque. It lacks transparency, and the accessibility by law enforcement is quite cumbersome. Sometimes even the suspects go to court. By the time you win the case of accessing the wealth, you have spent 1 year on that. So we are seeking amendments of the law in order to automate the management of the declaration of process and enhance accessibility by enforcement agencies.
Yeah, but just another point, Olive, as you can remember, the war on corruption has been facing a lot of challenges here and there. Of course, those who perceived to be corrupt have been accusing the government, of course, of politicizing the war against corruption. So it's a debate that has divided has divided a lot of people in the political realm, but it's also something that Kenyans are looking so forward to. The Building Bridges initiative, of course, spoke about it some time back, and they're saying that in part of the counties that they've been visiting, part of the memorandum and the views that Kenyans have been expressing is that they want the war on corruption to be strengthened. They want assets that have been stolen by those who are perceived to be corrupt to be recovered back. So it's something that is still an ongoing debate, whether the EACC will continue to speed up and continue to do more in terms of recovery of assets. That's something that we're looking forward to. We hope that it will work forward and work towards strengthening its image and, of course, restoring the public trust that has been lost over the years. Back to you, Olive.
Thank you, Silas. And other than the EACC, we also had the Auditor General's Office participating in that particular conference, and that is to do with the Africa Anti-Corruption Conference. And we also had officers from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, as well as the Asset Recovery Team. The Cabinet Secretary in charge of Environment and Forestry, Keriako Tobiko, says the removal of $500 million shillings from the ministry's budget compromises the capacity of the ministry to deliver its mandate. Tobiko is speaking at the KEFRI headquarters, and that is the Kenya Forestry Research Institute headquarters, during the inauguration of its board of directors in Muguga, Kiambu County. The institute is targeting to establish and increase the national seed bank from the current number of 320 million to 360 million seeds, with a view of increasing forest cover in the country to 10%. He called on county commissioners to help implement President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive of ensuring 5 million trees are planted annually. Tobiko has asked the board to get out of their comfort zone and engage the communities by sensitizing and educating them on the importance of conserving the environment.
And farmers usually, even in their own collection, they buy seed.
In total, almost $500 million Kenya shilling was taken out, and that seriously compromises, jeopardizes the capacity of the ministry and its entities to deliver on this. But it's a matter we are discussing. We have taken it up in cabinet, we have taken it up with Treasury, and we believe that something will be done.
Back to this particular report, and that is still to do with environment matters. The National Environment Management Authority has shut down several businesses in Engineer and Olkalau town in Nyandarua County for using the banned plastic bags. The crackdown comes as NEMA officials are on a rapid result initiative exercise to ensure the proper maintenance of the environment, which has seen the county government of Nyandarua put on the spot.
The proverbial 40 days were here for various businesses operating in Nyandarua. They have been using plastic bags despite their illegal status. According to NEMA Chief Enforcement Officer Robert Orina, who led the team in the crackdown, they were tipped off by members of the public on the illegalities at the outlets.
Siku ya leo tumeshangaa kwa sababu yale makaratasi tunaita carrier bags ambayo tulikuwa tumesema ya kwamba yameisha, tumeweza kuyapata katika hizi maduka na yanatumika. Kwa hivyo tumeweza kushika wale wanatumia hizo makaratasi na tumeweza kuwaweka katika hii police station. Kesho watapelekwa kotini.
The biggest blow fell on Jambini Fair Price wholesalers in Engineer Town, which was found in possession of about 7,550 plastic bags. The authority has called on businesses operators in possession of plastic bags to surrender their consignments to the nearest NEMA offices. Even as efforts to conserve the environment carry on, the authority also gave a 14-day notice of closure to the Olkalau slaughterhouse run by the county government of Nyandarua, which releases blood and waste products into the nearby river. NEMA's South Rift Director Marian Kioko, while issuing a notice of closure to the facility that also sits on the riparian land, noted that the county government has to construct a treatment system for the slaughterhouse waste.
Tuko kwa 100 days of rapid results initiative, kumaanisha kwamba tuko na wakati ambao tumeelekeza nguvu zetu zote kwa mambo ya kuhakikisha wananchi wameacha kutumia karatasi ambazo zilipigwa marufuku, na pia kuangalia watu ambao wenye wanaachilia maji taka kuenda kwa environment kama hayajasafishwa kama inavyohitajika katika sheria.
Members of the public who construct houses without proper drainage system have been put on notice. Befin Okoth, NTV.
Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri is on the spot over the maize imports debate. The Strategic Food Reserve Trust Fund Board and some members of parliament from the Rift say the ministry seems to be working with cartels and have called on the president to crack the whip on CS Kiunjuri. Victor Kiprop was at the press briefing and now brings us this brief from our newsroom. Kiprop, what is it exactly that they accuse the CS of doing?
All right, Olive, it was not the CS speaking, but rather members of parliament from the North Rift region, which happens to be the, well, sort of the food basket, the country's food basket, rather. And of course, officials from the Strategic Food Reserve Trust Fund, which of course they were responding to the ongoing battle between the ministry and the SFR regards to maize imports in the country. And the biggest question, or rather the biggest problem we have, is that the government is planning to import maize. It has announced initially through several officials, including the CAS and the cabinet secretary, that it is planning to import at least 12.5 million bags of maize, 10 million of them being, of course, white maize that is meant for human consumption. But the problem is that the Strategic Food Reserve, which should be at the center giving advice on the kind of shortage of maize in the country and with regards to the amounts that need to be imported, is saying that the 10 million that the government is planning to import is an inflated figure, rather. And the SFR chairman Norway Kesa told us this morning in the press that the country will only need only 2 million bags to plug the shortage that will be, of course, the country will face around late August, and that currently there are at least 2.8 million bags of maize at their stores, and it is going to help cover the country for the next 1.5 months. And it says the average consumption of maize in the country is 1.5 million bags, and that will be able to take us up to nearly late August. And remember, in September, the SFR anticipates that some maize will be, farmers will already be starting to harvest their maize. That's contrary to what the ministry says, which says that the shortage will last up to October, when the first, of course, harvest comes in. And the MPs and the SFR officials spoke about a range of issues, Olive, but we prepared a short insight of what they said.
This shortage is artificial. And it's been worked out in such a way that it should be seen as we don't have the maize. But figures, I've given you the figures. We have 303 million bags of maize yet to be bought. We're going to put it in the market.
Which is fit for human consumption.
Yeah, which is fit for human consumption.
This deficit they are talking about, I think, is a ministry thing. And I believe, and I think the ministry must be working with the cartels. And this seems to be they are sabotaging the big four agenda the president has been talking about, because one of the agendas is food security. And if we don't protect or defend or help the farmers, then we may not achieve that bit.
It's a wonder to us to have an active minister who is trying to align in his own pocket using the resources that we have so far. approved in our budget. I urge the president to crack the whip. It is time for the president to crack the whip. This is corruption, and the minister is at the behest of it.
Well, there you have it, Olive. The MPs are saying that the shortage is artificial and they want the CS now to be fired by the president, of course. But in his defense, the CS says that if the shortage was artificial, why are then the prices of maize and unga in the country rising? So we will be able to cover this comprehensively, rather, in our subsequent bulletins, Olive.
Thank you, Kiprop. And those are quite serious allegations leveled against the Agriculture CS Mwangi Kunjuri. We saw the National Food Reserve Board saying the shortage is artificial, and it was backed up by members of Parliament from the Rift. Now, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission has urged women to unite and fight against hate speech and fight for their place in governance. NCIC acknowledged the significant role played by women and urged them to instill national values in children to help cultivate harmony and peace. Politicians have also been warned against using hate speech in their statements. NCIC says it is on high alert to deal with leaders who want to divide communities. The United Nations Security Council adopted a resolution on women, peace and security, which reaffirms the important roles of women in the prevention and resolution of conflicts. The new Wakulima market along Kangundo Road that is meant to accommodate 7,000 traders and help decongest Nairobi is in its final stages of construction, but as they say, every rose has its thorn. The market has become a headache for a family living in fear that their home could be demolished as it stands in the way of the market's construction.
In between the nearly complete fire station and the new Wakulima market stands a green and black residential block. Besides the paintwork, it is easy to spot the house as it is the only building confined in the walls of the market. The plot of land on which the house stands belongs to veteran freedom fighter Mama Mwanesha Taplile Bilali, who was awarded 3 parcels of land by President Uhuru Kenyatta when he was the local government minister. The family claims that the government offered it the 3 pieces of land as a token of appreciation for the veterans' role in the fight for independence. A part of the new fire station has been constructed on one of their plots, and the other 2 are said to be potential parking grounds for the new market.
Mwachwa katikati kama migingo. Ukiona fence ina tuzunguka inamaanisha nini? We are next to go.
Mariam claims that they have suffered injustice for the past 2 decades as efforts to seek compensation for the 2 parcels of land have proved futile.
Tumejaribu kwenda City Hall, surveyor anajaribu kutublock wakituambia hizi makaratasi Uhuru alitupatia akiwa local government, they are nothing to them. They don't recognize the papers.
They feel that some elected leaders are doing anything but serve them and provide a path to justice.
Kuna madam wa Mathare, MCA, ameshikana na MCA wa hapa kwetu. All of them are MCAs ambao wanasema they are planning for the development of Nairobi. Sababu kila pahali tunaenda ni kama kuna mtu anatublock. Juzi last week MCAs from Nairobi tulichagua watusaidie, badala ya kutusaidia ni kutunyanyasa.
The alleged threats from the MCAs and the construction near the home has psychologically affected the family.
Mtoto kila saa akisikia tingatinga, sababu ilifanywa mchana, watoto wakatolewa ndani ya class. Akisikia tingatinga inalia, hanaanza kutetemeka. Mtoto alikuwa halali.
The family is calling on the county government and the National Land Commission to intervene and offer a solution. Helen Manjohi, NTV.
The Kenya Film Classification Board CEO Ezekiel Mutua says there is need to interact directly with students so as to enable them share their day-to-day challenges in school. Speaking at the 11th annual RCA national competition held at the Kenya Cinema, Mutua emphasized the importance of KFCB engaging students through its media literacy campaigns in a move to inspire them on values, culture, norms, and national aspirations. The parents have been challenged to be more involved in their children's lives and affairs for ease of communication and understanding of their challenges in school. This coming after reports of bullying and ill treatment of students in boarding schools.
School students were nabbed with dreams. Personal character and integrity as no substitute. Now, when you have character, it does not matter where you come from or who you are. Obama was a child of a single mother, struggled in life, became the president of the most powerful nation on earth. And when he wrote his first book, do you know what he called it? Despite the fact that the Kenyan father left him there, he called it Dreams from My Father. This is what it tells me, that you guys also owed the solution. So, one, to answer Talia, don't use social media to insult people. There is no heroism in defiance.
On the international scene, the Vatican is due to open 2 tombs in a tiny cemetery on its grounds and test the DNA of bones to help solve the 36-year-old disappearance of a teenage daughter of a clerk in the Holy See. The graves in the centuries-old cemetery are due to be opened on Thursday in the presence of representatives of the family of Emanuela Orlandi after the family received an anonymous tip that she might be buried there.
The disappearance in 1983 of Orlandi, then 15, is one of the most enduring modern mysteries of the headquarters of the Catholic Church and has been the subject of wild speculation by Italian media. Unproven theories over the decades have been advanced, from an attempt to secure the freedom of a gunman jailed for trying to assassinate Pope John Paul II to a connection to the grave of a mobster buried in a Rome basilica. His tomb was opened in 2012, but nothing was revealed. Bones found during groundwork at the Vatican embassy in Rome in 2018 sparked an Italian media frenzy, suggesting they might belong to Orlandi or Merilla Gregori, another teenager who disappeared the same year. DNA tests turned out negative. The Orlando family later received an anonymous letter saying Emanuela could be buried in the Teutonic Cemetery, a small burial ground in the Vatican used over the centuries, mainly for church figures of German or Austrian origin. At the time of the disappearance, police did not exclude that she simply may have been abducted and killed for reasons with no connection to the Vatican, or may have been a victim of human trafficking for sexual reasons. She would have been 51.
Time now for sports with Sean Kadovilis and I for One. I'm looking forward to hear what's coming up as far as the AFCON matches are concerned.
Yeah, thank you very much, Olive. Speaking of the Africa Cup of Nations, the second set of quarterfinals at the Africa Cup of Nations continues this evening with the Ivory Coast playing Algeria at 7 p.m, while surprise package Madagascar clash with Tunisia at 10 p.m. On Wednesday, William Troost Ekong scored a dramatic late winner to send Nigeria into the Africa Cup of Nations semi-final, and that was with a 2-1 victory over South Africa. Samuel Chikwueze hit the opener before Bongani Zungu equalized with a
J Bash. Every Saturday from 11 a.m, where everything dope happens.
Top spot Lomazo to
so much football.
It is a chance to enjoy Kenyan football.
Crunch time for the Kenya Sevens rugby team. Why Formula 1?
I'm interested in cars.
The speeds that those cars attain is crazy, but I'm supposed to be a fan.
Asante sana Kigogo, karibu sijakupata vizuri sana. Lugha gani hiyo ya Kimayai? But good to see you there. I realized that I had a problem when I began to attempt suicide.
How was that taken?
Kutolewa mashetani.
She used to cut her arms. I just saw the scars later. It is basically just a coping mechanism.
sina hopes sasa za kupata transplant.
Without dialysis, a patient who has kidney failure will die. So dialysis is life-saving.
Never ask a couple why you don't have a child. You never know.
You are a victim of being in a relationship with somebody who did not disclose their status.
It happened that I was in Crossroad.
When you talk about treating infertility, the insurance companies will knock you out.
They get used to the needles, they get used to the doctor. You know, I have children walking into my office and the first thing they do is come and hug me.
Nilikuwa nalalia hii.
Alikuwa tu boy wa mtaa, anaanga nguo.
Umeoa mbele yangu. Lazima ungojee hiyo maneno.
And my sister, I think she's too mature for him.
Ni first time yangu kana demo kona ball kwa nyumba. Amejaa tu huko juu ya kufura.
Craving mtoto amepatianga craving za kidheri. People call us baby mamas, of which sipendi hiyo jina.
Babe, please just sit down and talk tafadhali. Babe, stop walking out on me. Niko nataka tuende mtoni, tukachote maji. Sana ni hapa tu.
Surprise yangu na surprise na nyumba. Mimi nilidhani atalia wiki moja, si alilia siku moja tu na hiyo mambo yake. Leo kama jana wanakucheka eti wewe fukara.
Seeing other people accomplish great things.
My friend keeps telling me, you're so brave, you're so courageous.
Overcome even greater adversity.
I remember every single moment when I saw her suffering, and I just knew I'm losing my mom.
And hearing their inspirational stories.
If that child cannot talk, if he cannot hear, appreciate that gift.
Gives us hope.
Life will throw so much at you, but just be adaptable.
Crime power. Crime is not cool.
Come take this journey with us every Saturday on Unscripted from 8 p.m. only on NTV.
Anytime you need a lover, call on.
Wagwan, welcome to Jamrock. It's an all-new 2019 season, and you know what? This is the only show where you get to bring you your favorite dancehall and reggae artists, as long as local and international is concerned. Plus, we have Jamrock Vibes, where we bring you what's happening in the reggae and dancehall scene. Yani Moshene. You're Skyping your favorite artists all the way from wherever they are.
We're right here on Jamrock.
DJ Sejo pia mazoingi ya mitaani anachukua marequest ama vipi buda? Meskatiwa yoza mamitaani anabonga na vijana weze kujua liviti yao na life yao na hustle pia ni aina gani, au sio Meskatiwa? Every Saturday right here, 10 up until midnight on NTV Jamrock.